Hi class, my name is Juan Garcia. I'll be doing an overview of the film Beyond Good and Evil, Violence in Children's Media. The primary point of this film that it's trying to portray is that as we simplify complex problems into more digestible conclusions, we sometimes dilute the problem set into two categories, good and evil, losing important factors as well as context of this complex problem. The US, especially after 9/11, has used the simplicity to allow for an easier discussion of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. This film highlights this us versus them mentality that the US adopted by showing how media portrays the military in movies and in video games. The enemy is so bad that the good guys are able to use any means necessary to stop them in simplest terms. This film also shows examples of how the US government and media colluded to show the military and the government in a good light. It also highlights how children's ideological ideas are formed at a very young age by what they view and hear. If children only view one very simplified viewpoint, as they mature, they will still believe in this narrow mindset instilled early on in their childhood. Many of the video games and movies have also glorified the use of violence, shaping the minds of many children. Solutions to the social tendency of simplicity are not simple themselves. One could argue that limiting what children see is a major step. But in this age of limitless connectivity because of the internet, that's not very possible. Education still needs to be key. If children are viewing violence in video games and movies, explanation of what that violence really entails should be talked about. With the current war raging in Europe and so many videos of death and destruction available to see because of that, the explanation and education of what those videos of bombs dropping and the loss and destruction of life needs to be talked about, especially to the younger generation. Apart from violence, conventional media and social media have brought many messages to the forefront of our society, from messages that have been forced into media to manually guide societal thinking, and on the other side of the spectrum, to progressive thoughts blooming. What we saw on January 6th and the continuation from that is a prime example. The false belief of voter fraud and a stolen election is still felt to this day, causing a coercion in our democratic values. Another example is how children today are even more exposed to societal pressures through social media. They view a false and doctored body image that most are not able to replicate, leading to body dysmorphia. However, not all messages through the media are bad. What we have seen in the US is a more inclusive generation. LGBTQ+ rights, systemic racism, and many more progressive ideas have been shared and accepted today because of social media and the media. There's still plenty of work to be done, but the positive outcomes and inclusivity that they have brought in can be felt throughout. This film might be a bit older, but the overall ideas portrayed in it are still very relevant to this day.